What is happening? So today we're going to be going over the hips and why it is so important for surfers. So when we're looking at our hips, we really need to be utilizing these, and I see a lot of surfers really struggle with that hip movement. They can't get down, they can't squat enough to get into good position so they can do proper cutbacks and whatnot. So what we need to be looking at is the muscles that are kind of joining into the hip, because really that's where our hinge point is. That's where we bend, that's where we move, and especially as surfers, we're doing a lot of twisting and turning. So we really need to focus on our hips if we want to be able to surf effectively. So what's really important about hip flexor stretches is that we want to be focusing on keeping all of our upper body nice and neutral. So our upper back and our lower back, we want to keep that nice and neutral, so then when we jump into the stretch, we can get that leg nice and extended throughout the stretch and get the most out of that stretch. Now, the main one that we're going to be focusing on is the muscle from the top of the quad that goes into your hip and then into the lower back, called the iliopsoas. So what we're going to be doing with this one, because a lot of people are sitting throughout the day, so we're in that shortened position all day, we're jumping in our cars, we're sitting again, and we're not getting a lot of movement. We really need to stretch these things out because they get really tight and weak being in that position all day. Alright, so what we're going to start off with is a stretch that I really like to utilize, because you can do this kind of anywhere at any time. Now what you want to be looking for is something that is about a little bit below the knee joint, because you don't need anything higher. Like, if you're doing this stretch correctly, you're going to feel it straight away. I can even feel it even if I'm just doing it on the floor. Okay, so what you want to be doing is literally just plopping your foot up onto the bench or whatever you're utilizing. Don't worry about dorsiflexing that foot, just let it relax. Now from here, you want to have these hips, and you kind of want to focus as if you're tilting them forward and your glutes are going to come up. So what you're going to do is you're going to tilt those hips in and then just keep that back nice and straight and slightly lean into it. Notice my glutes come out a little bit, and then you'll feel a good stretch all through that hamstring. You want to be holding these stretches for about 1 to 2 minutes. Nice big deep breaths into these stretches, and then that is going to be your initial stretch that you want to be utilizing for your hamstrings. Let's get into our hip flexor stretch. So we're going to be doing a kneeling hip flexor stretch. This is one of my favorites. So it's pretty simple, and you can kind of do this anywhere. So what you're going to do is pop up that leg right to in front of you there. And the main thing that you want to be focusing on with this stretch is getting that hip kind of tilted in and forward, so posteriorly rotated. So that's going to get you a nice little stretch through that iliopsoas and the rectus femoris. So the main thing you want to be focusing on is getting that glute contracted and then tilting those hips forward and keeping that back nice and straight. You don't want to be leaning back because you're going to lose the stretch through that lower back area. Okay, so you're going to hold this. Again, you want to be holding these stretches for 1 to 2 minutes. Now, if you want to increase this stretch a little bit more, you're going to do the same thing. So have that hips nice and tilted in. You're going to have that glute on. Then you're going to reach up to the sky, and then you're going to slightly move forward with this front leg. So you don't want to be moving forward and then coming forward at all, because you're going to lose the stretch. You want to keep those hips in that position, that glute on, and keep that arm up, and then slightly moving forward. So that's getting a big stretch through my hip flexor muscles with that iliopsoas and the rectus femoris. One of my go-to stretches is an active hamstring stretch. I give this to a lot of my clients, and it's especially good for those of you who have a sore lower back, because what this is focusing on is getting an active range of movement through that hamstring. So what you want to be doing is literally laying flat on your back down by your side. Pretty straightforward stretch, and you're going to bring that leg up to the side there, and you're going to have your hands around that leg there. Okay, so you want to focus so that you don't want to be pulling this in nice and close. You want to be having it so it's kind of pointing straight up to the ceiling. So you're going to have your back nice and flat, your head down, and then all you're doing from there is you're going to get a dorsiflexion on that foot. So notice dorsiflexion there, and then you're going to be bringing it all the way up. Okay. So you're going to hold for a couple of seconds at the top and then come back down, okay? So you're going to do a few reps, so you're going to do about 10 reps, and then that's going to get you there. So I've got a little bit of a restriction there still. For you, you might only be able to get to there, and it's nice and tight for you. Okay? So what this stretch is really doing is getting that active range through that hamstring, so you can start to get those hips moving nice and flowy through the whole positions in your surfing sessions. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that little series on my 3 go-to stretches that I really like to utilize to loosen up those hips and get them moving better so we can surf better. So it's super important for surfers to get those hips moving because it's quite demanding in the surf, the positions that we need to get into if we want to be surfing optimally. So thank you for watching, and give it a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to my channel, and hit me in the comments section if you're struggling with anything surfing related, and I'll put together some content for you so you can check it out and improve that surfing, and most of all catch some more waves and get better at surfing.